Okay, so I am here with Tommy Tallarico, CEO of Intellivision Entertainment. Thank you very much for allowing us to interview you. This is a really awesome opportunity.
Well, it's a great opportunity for me to talk to talk to the indie developer community. So I'm just as excited.
Oh, so do we have a couple of questions here? Actually, about 29 questions. I don't know if we'll get through all of them.
All right, well, let's rock it. I'm Italian, so I am known to gab a bit. So yeah, that might be a 7-hour interview, but let's try to do it. Let's power through. Let's see what we can figure. I'll try to keep them small, knowing that there's 29 of them.
All right. So the first question is, with regards to the Amico and Intellivision in general, what is your guys' indie game policy when it comes to having indie games be put on the Amico platform?
Oh, I mean, to me, and I've been in the game industry for 32 years, and back in the old days when I first got in the industry, it was teams of 4 or 5 people making video games for the NES, Game Boy, and then later the Genesis and Super Nintendo, Amiga, Commodore 64, Apple II. Like, that was the era that I got into into the game industry, late 80s, early 90s. And so for me, here we are 32 years later, and it almost seems like the industry's kind of come full circle where, here we are where you can have, great indie teams. We have a couple of teams where it's only 2 people on the team, programmer and an artist, and we're helping with design, we're helping with audio, we're helping, and then we also have other developers that have teams of 15 people, but to me personally, I feel that in this day and age, as we sit here talking in 2021, and I would say this over the last couple of years as well, I think the best innovation, I think the most creative and innovative stuff is absolutely 100%, no doubt in my mind, comes from the indie scene, period, end of story, and that's where, Intellivision and Amico and kind of the ecosystem that an ethos that we've created is to nurture that, that's what we're all about. Look, we don't want to be like Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. We don't want to be like, Ubisoft, Activision, EA, where, they used to be the innovators, back in Nintendo's still an innovator in their own way, but you know what I mean? Like, in regards to game design and thinking outside of the box, Nintendo is the leader in that, in hardware for sure. But you look at a lot of the big console games, and it's Call of Duty again. It's a first-person shooter. It's this and that. It's the same types of games, and I don't think I'd be saying anything controversial by stating that. I think this is universally a held opinion, so I don't feel I'm saying anything crazy here. And I say a lot of crazy things, but I feel that, like, this generation, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series SX, to me, I think is the least exciting next-gen console launch in my lifetime, right? And I'm 53 years old. I don't think that's controversial. I think a lot of people might feel the same way about that, like I have a PlayStation 5, and I love Sony, and I love Microsoft. I love them all. But I haven't really played my PlayStation 5 at all, and I don't get that, like, big excitement. Why is that, right? Well, is it the same games being cranked out over and over and over again? So I look at the indie scene and say, the best stuff, the most innovative stuff, the most outside of the box thinking stuff, absolutely 100% comes from the indie scene, and quite frankly has been for about the last 5 to 7 years. And when I talk about Intellivision Amico, I talk about that kind of stuff. Is we're outside the box. We're not the norm. We're not spending $10 million on projects. We want the innovation. We want the independent. We want the outside the box thinking. I mean, look at our controller. It's the craziest, wackiest outside the box. You know, it's not grips and a D-pad and buttons and no, we're the exact opposite of that. And I got to tell you, I cannot wait till more indie developers get this controller and imagine the ideas that they're going to come up with. We've created this, you know, ecosystem and technology, but what really excites me, and I've been saying this for 3 years inside the company, you just wait. You wait. They're going to, indie developers are going to do things with this controller and system that we never even thought imaginable because of the great creativity out there. So that's a long way of saying, yes, we want the indie scene, and they're a huge part of our whole mission.
Okay.
28 to go.
All right. So next question is, what launch titles will there be available at launch, both packed in, available for the console, like built in, and available on the storefront?
Yeah, so we have, you know, we currently have 50 developers signed up that we're working with actively. We have a couple of hundred who have inquired with us that we don't have enough capacity here. You know, we're focusing on, you know, we got about 50, 60 games in development right now in different phases. You know, our goal is, once we put the system out, is to come out with a brand new game every 10 to 14 days. Let's say 2 weeks. So, you know, 2 new games a month. And this is what's really exciting about, and what indie developers will love to know, is that one of the big, and by the way, all of us who created this console and who are at Intellivision, we're all developers. We all came from the development scene. So we're not a bunch of suits. We're not a bunch of marketing people who, you know, oh, let's get into games because it's the hot thing. We're not a bunch of you know, just business types that are looking at spreadsheets and the, you know, the bottom line. We are, you know, we are game makers and have been, you know, anywhere from 30 to 40 years, the people on our, you know, internal team. So we understand game development and we understand game developers. And so one of the things that I've been seeing over the last 5 to 7 years is that you have small developers, indie developers, who pour their absolute heart and soul into everything they have to create their dream, right? And sometimes maybe they're all in a dorm room together, or they're living in their mom's basement to save money, and they're living off ramen noodles, and they got an apartment together. Whatever it is, they're sacrificing for their art, right? Their art being their creativity. And then they have amazing games, and they put them out on Steam or the Switch, and they're off the discoverability list like within 10 hours because 40 other games came out that day on mobile or whatever, you know? And that to me is so sad. So I feel that the biggest challenge that indie developers have is discoverability, right? And it's the marketing and the PR version of that. So that's one thing that we cultivate at Intellivision. We say, look, we want to help you make your dream. We will pay you to make your dream. We will give you back end if the dream becomes successful. And we will give you access to our programmers, to our code optimizers, to our Unity folks, to our, if you need audio and sound design, I'm personally involved. I know a thing or two. It's said that I know a thing or two about audio. You know, we give you audio. Our art directors have been in the video game industry 30 plus years, award winning. These are the guys who worked on Disney's Aladdin and Earthworm Jim and, you know, all these great games. We give them access to them to help you if you need art styles, audio, programming, design, whatever it is, production, marketing, PR, and we're paying you, right, to do this. So this is how again, we understand more than anyone what it is to be a struggling developer, because that's where we all came from, right? And so we get it. And in fact, but to answer your question a little more, because you asked how many games. So we have 6-pack-in games that come for free. Full games, they're not demos or anything like that. They're full games. The ones announced are Astro Smash, Shark Shark, Farkle, Cornhole, Skiing, and a yet to be announced 6th game, which is a really extremely, charts off the charts. It tests off the charts in all of our focus testing as a great family party game. And so we're doing a special reveal of that with a big celebrity. So that's why we haven't announced it yet, because we're giving them the exclusive on that. But and we're going to say what the game is and how it plays and this and that. So there's 6 games. We're probably going to launch anywhere between 20 and 30 games on top of those 6. Now, that number has gone down for us, because before COVID, we were going to launch with like 50 games, 40 games, whatever. And then, we were talking 35 to 40 games on launch and then do one every couple weeks. So we've had to cut that number down because we really, and because of COVID and the component crisis and not knowing, we're still don't understand fully how many units we're able to manufacture this year. We still have zero clue. We have a team of logistics people and hardware people and production people, a team of super talented folks who deal with this every day for the last year and a half, trying to secure the parts. We have over 700 parts that make up an Amiico, and over 100 of those are electronic components. And I'll tell you where the holdup is that our controllers all have color capacitive touchscreens on them, right? And so everything in the world, that's where the biggest shortages are, getting the crystals, getting the things that make up to build those touchscreens. Think about it. There's tens of millions of phones being made by Samsung and Apple, but even touchscreens in cars, GPS systems, smartwatches, anything. Think of all the things. Even my freaking refrigerator has a touchscreen, right? All of these things are being held up because of those parts, and all the big manufacturers are coming in and securing all those things and driving the costs up. And we're a small company. Look, I'm not over here drinking my own Kool-Aid like, oh, we're going to take out Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Hell no. We have our own unique path to success. And we have something that, but we don't have the buying power. We're not a $50 billion company, we don't have billions of dollars in the bank. We're just doing us, we're doing us, and we want to bring something really cool, unique, and fun and simple to the industry. So yeah, so right now, we have 50 games in development. We'll probably launch anywhere from 25 to 30 games, I think, on launch this year.
Very cool. Next question is, how did you guys come up with the price of the console?
Well, that's a great question. So obviously there's cost. It kind of goes back to what I was just saying, where, there's cost of goods, right? Again, we're not a company like Microsoft and Sony where we can lose money on the hardware. There was because Sony's a publicly traded company, so this is public information. Last Christmas, they sold 4.5 million PlayStation 5s, and they took about $100 loss on each of those. So do the math on that. Sony lost $450 million. They've done another 8.5 million since the beginning of the year. And some rumors say that they're losing anywhere from $100 to $200 on those. So that would be another $2 billion loss. But again, a company like Sony can absorb that kind of thing, right? Microsoft, Sony. We're not like that. So we can't go out there going, hey, we're going to lose a bunch of money on the hardware and we're going to make it up on the software. But no, that doesn't work for us either, because as you're probably aware, all of our software, we're talking smaller games here. So we're talking, $9.99 or less on launch. So it's not like we're making $50, $60 games and have a huge thing there. No, we're economical, we're affordable for everyone. So it's important that we make a little bit of money on the hardware and a little bit of money on the software as well. So our game is more of bulk as opposed to quality. We want quality, and we want to build trust and value with our customers. Because if somebody plays an Intellivision game and says, wow, that was really good, and I bought it for $8, $9.99 or whatever, and I got a lot of value out of that, and they have that experience every single time, well, then great. Then that means, oh, you know what, another $10, I know I'm going to get quality. Boom, there it is, right? It's almost an impulse buy if they feel that every single game that we do has a certain quality and a certain fun factor that they can get into. That is so important, and that's what we're all about.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. Will the Amico be supporting third-party controllers in addition to smart devices, smartphones, and the first-party controllers?
So we have right now, right now for our developers, but we actually have, so you'll be able to hook up your mobile phone. This is our Intellivision app. So right now, yes, you can hook up to 8 mobile devices via Wi-Fi to an Amico. The 2 controllers that it comes with are hooked up any physical Amico controller hooks up Bluetooth to the system, so you can have a combination up to 8 of controllers, any combination of mobile versus, because when you look at our controller, it has a color capacitive touchscreen, gyroscope, accelerometer, speaker, microphone, right, and force feedback. So all the things that you're kind of carrying around with you already. So and again, we're about affordability. So you download our app for free, and you can also use it as a you can use your mobile device as a controller. Now, it's good for party games and dice games and card games. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that action games are played on this, but we do actually have discs and buttons that you can attach to your phone to give you a little more tactile feedback. So that does, that's a possibility, or that's happening as well. But in regards to, will we let third-party companies do controllers for our system that are, as long as they have all of the things that are needed? Like we're not interested in have a traditional analog stick and a D-pad for our system. And the reason I say that is because our games won't work with it. All of our games are uniquely designed to utilize the touch screen, to utilize the LED lights on the controller, right? And so that's why I always say that, all of the games that we do are exclusive or have exclusive features. So there's been a couple of games, for example, made by indie developers, where they've put a version of it out on Steam or a version of it out on mobile, didn't do so well because of discoverability, not because the game wasn't great. And we then take those, add a bunch of stuff to it, and then make it unique for our controller. So it's important for people to recognize that the reason it's like, oh, well, can you just take an Xbox controller and hook it up Bluetooth and it'll work? It won't work, because the games that we're doing, you need the screen, you need some light. Not every single one, but a majority, right? So we wouldn't want to sell somebody something that, well, I can use this controller, but it's only going to work with half the games or whatever. So, we have to be careful. But if somebody wanted to do a version of our controller and they wanted to do it a little different way, we'd have no problem with that.
Oh, cool. Okay. That's good to know. In the games trailer, you guys showed what appeared to be remakes or reimaginings of Intellivision games that came out on the original console.
Yes.
Are there plans to bring the entire Intellivision library to the Amico as reimagined or remade titles.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was 125 original Intellivision games. Out of that 125, we own about 80 of them.
Okay.
Meaning that the other ones were because it was like Tron Deadly Discs. It was a big license attached to it. And so we own, about 80, or like Activision would put out games, or iMagic would put out games, or different, like Pitfall, for example, which appeared on Intellivision, but we don't own that. Activision owns that, right? So out of the original 125, we own about 80 of them. And so yeah, we will put as many of those most popular ones out as we can. Eventually, but we've also gone back and licensed the 12 best Atari games, and so we're retro reimagining those again exclusively for our system. Our version of Moon Patrol or Missile Command will not be anywhere else except on the Intellivision Amico. And we got other ones like IREM for Moon Patrol, Burger Time, Bump and Jump. All of these types of big games that we're retro reimagining. And for those people who like the originals, we're also going to be coming out with packs of those as well. A sports pack, an action pack, a learning app, a boards game, pack. Sorry, not app, packs. So, 5 or 6 of our original games, sports games, packed into one. They're like 99 cents each game or something. Here's 7 games for $6 or something like that. We're going to be doing that, not at launch though, because we don't want people to get confused as to what we are. Oh, it's just some flashback unit or whatever. So we're going to wait a year or so. We need to establish ourselves as to what we are first, and then we can bring some of those old graphics back.
Okay. All right. Question number 6 here. With regards to the controller, are there plans or were there plans to allow the controller to play games without the need of a TV, similar to what the Dreamcast did back in '99, right? The Amiico games, and the Wii U did with some of its games?
Yeah, so we don't really have a super screaming fast processor or anything like that in our controller. The controller is for to be a controller, not to be its own separate device. Now that being said, we may have a few Easter eggs here and there. I'll leave it at that. But the controllers were never designed to be their own things separate of the console. They were designed completely to support the console and the games itself, not to do separate games on there. We could, very simple style games, and let's just say there might be some Easter eggs here and there that allow you to unlock maybe some original Intellivision games as an example, so that you could sit there and play. But I do like the idea of, after you turn the game off, is there a way to continue playing, and then when you dock it again, now you have more mana, or now you have more gold because you've this and that. I love that concept. We're currently not doing anything like that in any of our games, but it's something that we're 100% open to. And again, if it was a basic thing, we could actually, it's capable of doing that.
Awesome.
I'll leave that to the indie developers to figure out for me.
All right. Question number 7 here. In the FAQ, you guys mentioned that the Amico can't support original television carts at launch. Does this mean there will be an adapter to allow for this at a later date?
It was, we looked into it. We looked into how much would it cost for us as a company to create something like that from scratch, a hardware thing that, because we do have a USB-C in the back of our, a mini in the back of our thing, so we can expand and for things like that. So, but we looked into how much it would cost us to do. And, for us as a big company, and to do it right, and to do the molds, and to do the runs, and, to pay our, amazing hardware engineers and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's something that would cost us hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to create. And then we say to ourselves, how much is the cost? How much would we sell it for so that we could earn money? And how many people out there actually still have original Intellivision cartridges? And if you look on Facebook as an example, there's a great Facebook page called Intellivision Invasion. And it's a whole bunch of retro Intellivision folks, you know, talking about the old Intellivision. They also talk about Amico there as well. And it has about, I think, 6,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there's 10,000 people in the world that collect old Intellivision cards. By the way, I'm one of them. If you look there, I literally have them stacked up, right? You know, so, and let's say we were to sell every one of those people a unit that exists, that still has Intellivision cards. Again, you're talking about 10,000 units, something that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to make, and then you have to go through compliance testing, and then distribution, and then packaging, and all these, you know, things. And then when you just do the math on paper, it's a lost leader. It doesn't make sense for us right now to do something like that. Now, if we sell millions of Intellivision units, and it's something that I could do as a love letter to the original Intellivision and all the hardcore Intellivision fans that are out there that exist, and it doesn't cost me, you know, I'm not losing millions and millions of dollars, I would absolutely consider it, even if we're going to take a loss, just because I think it would be pretty cool. Imagine a modern system that's backwards compatible with its original predecessor from 42, 43 years ago. That would be pretty, so I'd like to do that just to say we did it and it's cool. Now, that being said, if a third party wants to do something like this and charge a couple $100, because that's what they'd have to do in order to make some money, you know, as a hobby or a love letter or whatever, we would absolutely help them do that, you know, and we wouldn't like block that or do that. We would support that piece of hardware and get them anything they would need to know. If they're willing to take all the financial risk, we're fine to help them do that as well. So two options there.
Okay, awesome. It's good to know. All right, so let's see here. You kind of touched on this already a little bit, but question number 8 here. Are the plans to bring exclusive titles to the Amico that couldn't be played anywhere else? And if there are exclusives, could you share some titles or IPs?
Yeah, so right. So I talked about that. So yeah, we want everything on the console to be exclusive or to have exclusive content. And what that basically means is we just don't want to do any direct ports, right?
I see.
Out of the stuff that we have that appears on other consoles, versions of them, is Rigid Force Redux, as an example. That's a game that appears on Steam, Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. But we're putting out Rigid Force Redux Enhanced. We put about another 6 months of development into it. We added new music, we added new sounds, we added new controls, we added, you know, a bunch of new stuff. Another game, take our Evel Knievel game. This was a game that originally only appeared on iOS and Android. I don't even think it's available on Android anymore. But we put a whole year more of development time in with those indie developers. And again, we paid them up front, month to month, to do this for us. And they're getting a royalty as well. The Knievel family is getting a royalty. And we put all the money up front. And what did we change? We added more vehicles. We added more levels. We added multiplayer. We added multiplayer as well to Rigid Force Redux. So Rigid Force Redux is a game that sells for $19.99. You can grab it for $10 on sale once in a while. But our version on Amico is $9.99 at launch, and it has more stuff than all of the other versions out there, including the Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. So, but for Evel Knievel, we did more graphics, more audio, more animations, more vehicles, more levels, added multiplayer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all of that stuff is in our new game. And again, that was only available on mobile. So if anyone wanted to play it, you're playing on this little screen. and no one's really watching you play. But the funny part about this game is watching evil crash. And again, even the animations and the characters, we changed, we honed in. We changed the way the cape animates in the wind. We changed how many articulations, because we use a lot of ragdoll physics. And the more articulation points you have, the funnier ragdoll physics become. So, you know, he didn't have a neck joint. He didn't have wrist joints. He didn't have ankle joints. So things like that, we added, enhanced. I basically went to Barnstorm Games over in the UK, which is the, you know, the indie developer of this game. And I said, guys, all of the things, I love this game. What if you had your dream scenario where you could work on this for another year and somebody was paying you to do that? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be great? And so that's the style. So I would encourage any indie developer out there listening to my voice right now, if you have a game that you've done on any platform, and it's easy, it's real easy to port over if you used Unity and if you did it on mobile. That's a huge, that's a huge leg up, you know? And so if you've already done a game in Unity on mobile and you have ideas on how you wanted to make it better, and it's a family-friendly, you know, game that has co-op, or that you're thinking of adding co-op to, all of that stuff, if you're listening to my voice, reach out to us, give us a link to the game that already exists, and we can help to make that dream a reality. That's what we're looking for. Super quality titles, super talented people to help them realize their dream.
That's awesome. That sounds really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so question number 9 here. Okay, so with the console being Android or Linux based and having an SD card slot, is the concern that the console will be modified to allow for sideloading games or ROMs?
No. I mean, obviously that's a concern, and people are going to hack it and this and that. But the way our ecosystem works, it would be very difficult to do that. And that's not a dare to hackers. I'm just saying that the way we've set up our servers online, and the way the machine has to ping the servers in order to get new games onto the system, it would be, and I can't really go into detail about it, you know, because we have some patent pending stuff, and we have, you know, things that are still happening in that regards, that we haven't announced yet in regards to our physical media as well as our digital media. But so is it a concern of us? Look, piracy is always a concern, right? But the way we've designed it, someone will probably figure out a way to do it, but they'll never be able to hook the system up again to the internet, meaning to get new firmware upgrades, to get new, any of the new stuff that we're offering online. They could never use any of our online leaderboards, that kind of stuff. So again, and that's not a dare for anyone. I'm just trying to, because again, look, I'm not stupid. I'm not drinking. Oh, we got the greatest security system. Hell, we can't even keep our damn developer portal secure, let alone the hardware to console. There's always going to be holes and breaches and things like that. So, again, we're realistic. And again, we're not a team of 1,000 people here, folks. We're 55 super passionate people around the world, just trying to bring something beautiful and unique and fun to the game industry,
Okay, and this kind of ties into the previous question, and I think I kind of already know the answer at this point. But the 10th question was, will the community be able to root the console, or is this something that will be looked into so that it can be prevented?
Again, yeah, it would be, you could, if you wanted to, turn it into an Android device and not an Amico. Okay, but then what the hell? Well, then just go buy a RetroPie for $35. Like, why would you buy an Amico for $250 to dumb it down, right? So yeah, I don't, so that would be crazy, but you could do it. Sure, you could do anything.
All right, question number 11. Will physical games be available at major retailers like Best
Yes.
Buy? Are you
Yes.
guys working with excuse me? Are you guys working with an existing company like Limited Run Games, or are you guys going to be publishing the physical games yourselves?
We are publishing the physical games ourselves, and in fact, I'll give you a little bit of an exclusive here. All of our physical games, we have 8 of them, they're already in production. They're almost
Oh, wow.
done, in fact. They'll be done by the end of this week. So we'll have those sitting in our warehouse. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
But now
All right.
that being said, we've certainly, been speaking with Limited Run as well about maybe doing a certain special thing here and there. So that's not off the table either. That's something that we want to do as well. But in regards to our physical games, yeah, we've spent the money to come up with the technology, to come up with the packaging, which is very unique. So we had to create our own packaging from scratch, all of the molds, all of the things inside, extremely unique. No one's ever done anything like this before, that like what we're doing. So I think people are going to be really excited about it, especially collectors.
Okay. So you said that. So you mentioned so they will be available at Best Buy or other retailers like that, or
Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart, Amazon. But we hope everyone will get them directly from us too, because we make more money that way, direct. But
right.
but yeah, we're gonna have retail presence. Especially like at GameStop. That'll be the first one. GameStop will be the first one for retail. And again, people ask me all the time, when's it coming out? Do you know when it's coming out? We're still trying to hit our 10/10 date, but with all this crazy component shortage around the world, we don't know. We're trying our hardest to secure everything. We don't know if it's going to be 100 consoles or 100,000 consoles. I mean, at this point, there's probably not going to be 100,000 consoles. It's just not physically possible with the timeline and the money, that we have. I can't lose $100 a console. It put us out of business, and that benefits no one. So if we have to wait, then that's what we have to do, make a business decision. But we're hoping to at least have some kind of soft launch. If we can get our founders editions out there, if we can get our tens of thousands of pre-orders out there, that would be a huge win. Get it in people's hands, because people, they gotta play it in order to understand it. Me putting together a trailer of gameplay footage does us no good. Because people are like, oh, they look like mobile games. It sucks. The big thing is that you have to play it. And that's what we're doing a lot of. We just did a big event in Pennsylvania this past weekend at Crayola, the Crayola Experience. Hundreds of families playing this thing and loving it. Absolutely loving it. We did a event a couple months ago in Dallas, in Texas, where we showed people, just the general public, coming up, playing it, loving it. So if we're going to be delayed, we're going to go on tour and get this in people's hands so that it gets them even more excited about it. Showing gameplay footage is not going to do anyone any good.
Right. I know, it definitely makes sense. So the next question here is number 12 here. How much more will the physical games cost than digital games? And will there be a point where the games will become a bit more expensive after the initial launch?
Great question. So yes, at launch, they're $9.99 for digital, and physical is $19.99.
Oh,
so isn't that amazing? And I'll preface that by saying on launch, because to answer your second question, yes, the games will go up from there. Now, are they going to be $30, $40 games? No. But if digital games creep up to $11.99, $14.99, maybe even $19.99 at some point. And we want to give ourselves the flexibility of that for a number of reasons. First and foremost being, we don't want to limit what the games are just because everything's got to be $10 or less. If there's an amazing, like take a game like Earthworm Jim, for example, we want to make the best game possible. And we don't want to cheap out and just, the numbers make sense that we can only spend 100,000 on it, so that blah blah. No, that's not what we're doing. Again, we're about quality, simple, easy, affordable, fun, simple. And if Earthworm Jim cost 4 times more than all the other games to make it the way we want to put it out, the original team wants to put it out, then we're going to do that. We're not going to put out anything mediocre just so we can hit a $10 or under price point. We'd be crazy. The other thing is big licenses too. You know, if we want to get licenses from places like Disney, they're going to want more money. And in order for them to want more money, we're going to need to charge a little more because they want a higher percentage. And if we want a great developer to do it, we're going to pay them a higher percentage. So yeah, again, we're not crazy. We're not stupid. And, you know, there was a 10 Commandments thing that I posted a couple years ago, and that's recently been making the rounds again. You know, the 10 Commandments of game design for Intellivision. And that was really, like, people are taking it way too literal. I guess because I called it the 10 Commandments, as if, but look, does every Catholic follow the 10 Commandments? Do a few commandments get broke here and there along the way, and are they still good people, and can they still get to the pearly gates of heaven? Yes, people. So let's not, you know, so it's not like you must do this or else. It's like, this is a guideline of our commandments. That's why I said, you know, these are the commandments of, you know, of Amico, and if you follow these guidelines, you should be good as gold, right? But if somebody came in and said, hey, now there are a couple of them that will absolutely not break. For example, the family friendly thing, right? So we want to keep things family friendly. We're not going to have you know, we're not going to have violent, bad language, nudity, that kind of stuff. We're not going to have that on the system ever. We're not going to break the trust of our families by doing something like that. But if somebody came to us and said, hey, I got this really amazing thing I figured out with a 3D world, and boy, does it work really fun with the disc, I'm not going to say, nope, you can't do that game because 3 years ago I decided that the 7th commandment is going to be whatever. No, we're not crazy. Those are a guideline.
All right. All right. So a lot of consoles have an achievement/trophy system in place.
Yeah.
Will there be one in place for the Amico aside from leaderboards? If there is, will it be like other platforms, or will it be more like retroachievements.com where it's web-based and requires internet connection?
No, we have achievements within our games, you know, so local achievements and things like that. Yes, you mentioned, you know, we have online leaderboards which tie into our achievements. So our leaderboard system, you have the month, the year, and all time, and then you have your state, your country, and the world. So you can break down our online leaderboards by saying, you know, what is Ryan's score for Astro Smash in the state of California, or what state are you in?
Oregon.
Well, there you go. Okay. So Ryan has the #1 score in Astro Smash in the month of July in the state of Oregon. And if you were able to complete that by the end of the month, you'll get an achievement. And you're the only person in the world who will have that achievement. And if your score was the biggest in the country, well, then that would be your achievement. And not only do you get that within your profile and that you can share, but we email you a certificate, and you can print that out and put it on your wall.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. Wow. Cool. All right. Question number 14. So with there being 6 games being available at launch, is there a plan to make a viable flow of games? Do you guys have devs lined up, or is it an open platform?
Yeah, no. It's a closed platform in that we are the publisher of all our games. It's, you know, it's not like Switch or Steam or mobile where you can just upload and it's there and you pass this process. We are not that. We have we publish every single game, and we do that for quality control reasons, and again because we want to be able to market and do PR and give you our teams and give you our help and give you our money, for every single game that's out there. Now, some people don't need our money, some people don't need our help, and that's cool too, but you still need to go through our process because because we're going to be marketing it. We're going to be putting the PR into it, because a lot of teams don't have, a lot of developers don't have their own marketing team.
Okay. And question number 15 here, you kind of touched on this a little bit previously, but the question is, what incentives do devs have bringing their game to the Amico? For instance, you guys offer a higher percentage on sales and royalties compared to their platforms, a transparent method to get a game on the console storefront, or will it be very similar to other platforms when it comes to submission sales?
No. So this is the best part of Intellivision, and this is kind of some false information that was, when there was a hit piece that was done on us on that Ars Technica website, and there was all a bunch of misinformation on there, and this was part of it. And unfortunately, when you have a website as big as that, people believe this journalist who did not do the research, did not ask me questions, even when I asked him to ask me questions like you are now. You have more integrity than they obviously did. But and so this was one of the things that went out there, this false information that all of the games take 50% royalties. Absolutely not true. And so what we do is we sit with the developer and say, what do you want, right? Would you prefer more money up front or along the way and a lower percentage because we're putting in a whole bunch of resources and time and money into it? Or maybe it's like, hey, look, our game is done. It's on Steam or mobile or Switch. Mm-hmm. We already know it's rocks and it's solid. We'd like to put this on your system. And I say, oh, wow, that's a really cool game. And they might say, and hey, we have an idea on how to make it co-op and how to put some extra stuff in here. We'll give you a couple extra levels, but we're going to do all the work, Tommy. We don't need you at all. Well, great. If that's and we don't want any money up front for that. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, you're going to get a much bigger back end. That's your, that's your choice, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're a team of 2 people or 3 people and you'd really like to, be paid month to month to month and this and that, well, then you can decide that, or anything in between. Consider it like a slider, monthly payments, royalties, and you can kind of mess around. And as long as it's fair for both sides, it's not like, it's funny. It's not like, developers are like, we're holding a gun to their head. Oh, you have to do this. And we're taking 50%, whether you like it or not. I mean, this is insanity, right? Obviously, we're working with tons of developers. And I would say this to anyone out there listening: go on Intellivision's Intellivision's YouTube channel. And we put out in last October of 2020, we put out a video, or maybe it was August. It could be August. Yeah, it would have been August of last year. We put out a video of our developers talking about why they love Intellivision and what they think of the controller. Just watch that. So don't if you don't believe me, right? Because I'm trying to sell Amico and I want to attract developers. So of course, oh well, this guy's a car salesman. We can tell, right? He's a salesman. He's going to tell us what we want to hear. Don't listen to me then. Listen to all of the people who are making games for us already and who absolutely love us. Go watch that video.
All right, good, awesome. Okay, so moving on here. So question number 16: with a price point higher than the Switch Lite, equal to the original Switch or full Switch in some colors, mm-hmm. How are you going to compete with Nintendo's Kitty image?
Yeah. So again, when you say Kitty image, I believe that you can do family-friendly, fun games that mm-hmm. aren't kitty, right? So, all of the games that I grew up on, and I'm 53 years old, in the late 70s, early 80s, when I was playing video games, like a game like Space Invaders, that isn't kitty. right? A game like Donkey Kong or Pac-Man isn't necessarily kiddie style. So that whole kind of yee and talking down to everyone, and everyone's like yee yee yee, you know, and it's like makes you want to puke. So that's not what we're about. Now, you know, do we have Care Bears and Sesame Street on our system? Yeah, but those are educational games for kids 5 and under, you know, and that's a very small percentage of all of the games. But you look at games like Night Stalker and Missile Command and Cloudy Mountain and Moon Patrol, those aren't kiddie games at all, yet they're family friendly. But to get more to your thing, so let's talk about this for a second, because this argument comes up a lot. And look, I don't feel comfortable ever comparing Amico to Nintendo, right? Think of us more, because anytime I bring it up, people demand, they want to hear the differences, but then when I give differences, it's like, oh, well, you're dogging Nintendo now, or putting Nintendo down. I'm like, no, you asked the question. You know, you want to know the differences. I'm telling you the differences. I'm just being honest, right? So I always feel uncomfortable because it's a no-win situation for me. But let's continue though. Intellivision Amico comes with 2 full controllers, the ability to hook up to 8 controllers via mobile device for free. All of our games are $9.99 or less or on launch, but let's say they're going to be around $10, right? They're all family friendly. And it comes with 6 free games. Full games, not demos. Premium too. Okay.
That's your point.
So let's compare this to the Switch. And again, folks, friends, please, I am in no way, I love Nintendo, I love the Switch. I'm in no way putting it down when I make this comparison, okay? Let's be clear about this. And when people ask me, where do you see yourself on the chart? You know, because you have like PC quality up here, and there's PlayStation and Xbox here. Then down here, you got the Switch. And then like down here, you have mobile. Think of us in between mobile and the Switch. That's where we want to live. And by the way, that's a big ocean right there to be swimming in, right? Because there's 200 million hardcore gamers, in which the Switch goes into, and there's 3.1 billion people who play mobile every day, right? So we're going to live somewhere in between. Now, are we going to grab hardcore gamers? Sure. We can grab retro gamers? Of course. Are we going to grab mobile gamers? Are we going to have people who own a Switch? Are they going to want one of these as well? Sure. There's going to be crossover to all this stuff. But our wheelhouse is going to be living in between the Switch and mobile. That's how we feel. And we have a lot of data and research and focus testing that backs us up, which is why we're able to raise millions and millions of dollars through private investment, because people see what what everyone else sees when they look at the data. So that being said, let's compare. Because you mentioned price, Switch Lite's $50 less. Okay, our whole goal is to put out a machine where couch co-op is in every single game, where we're bringing people back together into the living room to play games together, no matter what your skill level is. So right away, you have to take Switch Lite off of that chart. Boom, goodbye, because it can't do that. It cannot do that. You cannot dock it to your TV. So you're done on there, okay? So that one goes off. So if you compare, hey, the Switch Lite is $50 less. Doesn't matter. It's a different thing. It can't do what we do. Okay, fine. So let's take that one out. Now let's talk about the Switch. $299, $349 for the new one. But let's go with the $249. So Ryan, if I said to you, I want you to do this math in your head. If you wanted to play a 4-player game, couch co-op game, in your living room, on a Switch, and you wanted to play 6 games, okay? And I'm going to limit it at 4 players and not say 6 or 8 players, because a lot of our games you can do that. But let's just limit it to 4-player games, couch co-op, in your living room, on a Nintendo Switch. How much would that cost? 6 games. Do the math, rough math. You don't have to be exact, but do a rough math for me. Think about it in your head and give me a number. So it's $300 for the Switch.
Yeah. So
You're gonna okay. Let's say you split this Joy-Cons, even though everybody knows those suck. Split apart.
Right.
But even if you were, and then okay, you had to buy a couple more controllers or another set of Joy-Cons, which is $80. Now you have to buy 6 more games. What would you say?
Probably about $600, I'd say, give or take.
$500 to $600, right? Yeah. Amico's $249, and you can do that out of the box. So we're half the price. So there you go. That's the answer to your question, right? Fair. When you think of it like that, because that's what we're going for. That's what we're going for.
Right. Okay, and the next question kind of correlated. I mean, you've pretty much answered this, but I'll ask anyway. Children and non-gamer parents walk into a store. They know the name Nintendo. They know it's associated with kid games. They see this other, more expensive console, also vying for a family image and excluding their children. Excluding their older children. Mm-hmm. Why would they choose this other console they haven't heard of? And I think you kind of answer that by saying that the Amiico platform offers incentives to buy it on that system, given the fact that there's more content there. And it's more family-oriented, more multiplayer-oriented.
So here's the number one concern of young parents. And this is a study, anyone can Google it. The number one concern of young parents is that they give their kids too much alone screen time. Okay? So when a parent walks into a GameStop, a non-gaming parent, as you said, and they see something that they can play with their kid, or something that, oh no, I'm just going to get this and then they're going to lock themselves away in their room and I'm never going to see them again, you tell me. The other thing is you have to set parental controls on something like a Switch, right? And then you have to worry about online gaming and no predators there. And even things like Roblox and Minecraft on PC or mobile or whatever, right? But you have to set those parental controls. There's a lot of adult content that's available on the Switch, and a lot of those non-gaming parents aren't tech savvy. So now they have to worry about that, right? And so the number one thing that non-gaming parents love about our console, the number one thing is that we don't allow that kind of content on our machine. They don't ever have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about our system being online, kids playing online games, because we don't allow it. But then throw in the factor that, wow, I can actually play this as well, like I did the Wii.
Yeah.
Because look, I got news for you. And again, I'm not dogging any other system. My mom bought a Nintendo Wii 15 years ago. She's now 80 years old. She was 65 when it came out. My mom bought a Wii because she could do this and she could go bowling. It was super easy. My mom did not buy a Switch. So there, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure you know a lot of people out there who were the market for a Wii, but who are not the market for a Switch. And that's not to take anything away from Nintendo at all. The Switch is going to break records at 80 million out there already. They're kicking butt. They kicked Microsoft's butt already. Are you kidding me? With lesser technology. This is how great innovation and smart Nintendo is. They don't need the highest technology in order to kick $1 billion company's butt. Right? Microsoft has a lot more money than Nintendo, yet Nintendo is doing better than them in the video game market right now. And again, that's not to take anything away from Microsoft either. It's a beautiful thing. Look, there's room for everybody. There's room for unique things. What we're doing with Amiico is completely unique from all those other things. When people say, oh, well, it's like a Switch. No, it's not. It is not like a Switch at all in any way, shape, or form. It really isn't. Again, for the main reason you gave me 5 minutes ago when you said, if I were to play those games, it'd cost $600. And by the way, tell me what those 6 games are on the Switch that your grandma and your mom or dad can play with you. Because if you tell me it's Overcooked, I'm going to call you out. Well, Overcooked, and again, I love Overcooked, and I love the developers. They're amazing, and it's not to disparage them in any way. I got to keep saying this because people will take what I say the wrong way, and I don't want them to do that. What's casual to gamers like us is not casual to my mom or to non-gamers. So when you say to somebody, give me a casual game for the Nintendo Switch, couch co-op casual game, you'll hear Overcooked, you'll hear Animal Crossing, you'll hear whatever. There's even Mario Kart has become difficult. Little square, little tiny thing with the analog stick. Even that, even though it's one of the biggest selling games, even that, like, again, my 80-year-old mom isn't playing Mario Kart. She's not doing it. Will she play a card game or a dice game or cornhole or bowling or shuffleboard doing this? Absolutely. That she can get into. But she's not going to get into Mario Kart and Mario Party. It's just not, and again, there's a lot of people out there that are like that. That's the reason there's 200 million gamers and 3 billion people that play super easy, hyper casual games on this. Sure, it's convenient and it's in your pocket. I get it. Again, but there's an overwhelming majority of people that play this every day that do not play consoles, because when they think of consoles, it's like, there's nothing there for me. Right. And it's too hard and complicated to get into. I mean, imagine this for a second, Ryan. And again, not to dog on Nintendo, but I'll put Microsoft and Sony in this as well. Imagine a non-gaming technophobe trying to navigate the eShop, or you know what I mean? Like, think about it. Think about that, right? And so it's not. We think it's easy as heck, and it's like, well, but all my friends, forget about you and your awesome tech, awesome friends. I'm talking about mom in middle America, who's never played a video game system and maybe plays Candy Crush because it's easy. Think about those people. Not everyone is like you, right? So.
Right, I couldn't possibly imagine my parents trying to navigate the Switch issue.
Thank you. Right? That's all I'm saying. And that's not to put Nintendo down. It's not to put Microsoft down.
I think all the storefronts have that issue. To some degree.
Absolutely. I mean, discoverability. And again, this goes back to indie developers as well, right? If you're an indie developer and you put your stuff on the eShop, can we stop the lie for a second? Can we stop the facade? You have to go on there and sell your game for 12 cents in hopes that it'll get on the what's hot list so that you can jack your price back up so that you can make some money. This is insanity, folks. Is this what the industry has become? And who gets the short end of that stick? The indie developer. The indie developer. They shouldn't have to sell their game for free or 1 penny just in order to hopefully pray that they get on some list. This is insanity to me.
That is true, and I mean, I will say that Nintendo did a good job of kind of curbing that. They have put the stopgap on it, but it's still. That's
the biggest challenge for indie developers: discoverability. Mm-hmm. And I have played so many. I mean, I literally sometimes get tears in my eyes when I hear the stories of these indie folks coming to us like we risked everything we ever had to make this game, and oh my God, this game is so good, and it's so creative, and it's so like, this is how come people don't know about this? Right. It's because it came out with 10,000 other games that week.
Right, totally.
This next question is my question.
Oh my God, there's the voice of God. Who else is here talking to me? You never introduced yourself. Who is this?
Yeah, this is Teal Summer Nights. I'm also here.
Sorry, what was your first name?
I go by Teal Summer Nights.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, Teal Summer Nights.
Yeah. This is my question. This is what I'm passionate about. What accessibility options will the Amiico support, if any? For example, like text resizing, text resizing. What was the other?
How about disabilities? Folks with disabilities, maybe?
Yeah, things like that. Text resizing. God, what was the other one I had in my mind?
Colorblind? Color?
Yeah, color blindness.
Yeah.
I can't remember
No,
the.
I get your vibe. I get your
but
vibe.
yeah, things like that.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the other thing was, and the question was, will there be support for third-party accessibility controllers? Do you guys have accessibility options within the controllers themselves?
Yeah, if folks want to do that, absolutely, absolutely. We support that 100%. We're all about inclusiveness, not exclusive. Like not we're about, we want to include as many people as possible. And again, which is kind of our ethos, isn't it? Right? I mean, we talk about we're making games for people who normally don't play games. And so of course we want that to be accessible for everyone. And the great thing about our controllers, having the motion controls and making simple, easy to pick up and play games without instructions, no matter what your skill level is. The great thing about that is you can play a lot of our games with just one arm or one hand. You don't need the grips and the this and that. We absolutely do a lot of colorblind test stuff. So we make sure that the primary colors, like for example, and you can't cover every spectrum because everything would be in black and white then. Because there's certain grades of color blindness. But doing things that like avoiding the color green as an example, and going with like if you have a choice. Instead of being green or red, which everybody does, green is positive, red is negative, we do blue and red as an example, right?
Okay.
So we're, our artists and our UI folks are very, now, the other thing in regards to text, it's funny you mentioned text size. Look, the folks at Intellivision, I think, a majority of the senior staff are over 50, over 40. And for anyone out there, and I know you guys don't have this problem, but once you hit 40, boy, your close-up vision starts to go. So it's like I can't even read a medicine bottle. Like, boy, there's some important stuff on this shit. And it's like I have to end up taking a picture of it with my cell phone and then blowing it up to even read it because I can't even read it with reading glasses. So yeah, our fonts are big. Let's put it that way. We're always talking about that with our developers. Like, let's use up the whole screen. There's no reason to. Well, it looks cool if you shrink it down. We don't care. Make it big. And we're always telling developers make the fonts bigger. So yeah, we're absolutely open to that. And again, look, I'm not going to be. I don't want people to think, oh, he's just answering these questions for what he thinks he wants people to hear. Look, I'll be honest, we can't cover it all, but we certainly want to try, and that's my honest answer to that. But I know we can't cover it all.
No, that's definitely fair. Now the other question that was posed, the other person in here, Dylan, asked this. I know you're mentioning that the controllers have to have certain aspects, certain components. But would you guys make an exception to allow, say, the Xbox accessibility controller to be compatible with?
That'd be great. Yeah, if that does that, because I saw the beautiful trailer that Microsoft did when that thing first came out. I mean, again, I had tears in my eyes just watching it. It was really amazing. But I'm not familiar exactly how it connects. Maybe you guys know and could help me out here. Does that connect Bluetooth or like USB or through anything like that? Like, how does it connect? Do you guys know?
I don't. Do either of you know? Dylan? You want to pop up in the chat or something? Okay.
IU plug-in stuff. IU.
So does it plug in physically to the console like USB?
Okay,
USB.
It's USB and Bluetooth. Then if that's the case, then yes, we could easily make that available on for Intellivision. Now, again, for certain games though, right? Because you have to have the screen
Yeah.
You know, well, you don't have to, but a lot of our games are designed around the screen. So you might have to take a little bit of finagling. Like for example, if you have a jump button on the screen, we'd have to remap the screen. But if there was and that part's easy, you know, map it to a certain button. But if there was information on the screen, you know, I don't see why you couldn't have it where you could set the controller down so that you still saw the information on the screen, but then have the controls mapped somewhere else. That seems technically possible to me. So I don't see it being an issue. And that's just me without knowing the specs and everything. But I can tell you that it's, you know, if it's Bluetooth and USB, then it's absolutely possible. And I'd love to do that. I'd love to work with Microsoft to do that. It'd be awesome.
Okay, good. Okay, so that was question number 18. Okay, number 19 here. What game engines, and I think you already touched on this, but I'll ask anyway.
Unity is most of them. A couple of games are being done in Unreal. I think we got a couple of games in Game Maker, and there's also a couple of games that are using their own proprietary engine. But I would say, you know, Unity is the way to go if you know Unity in regards to simple ease of use.
Okay, so the full question was, what game engines will the Amico support, and what would you say to devs that want to bring their games to the Amico? So what you're saying is that
Unity.
It's a multiple.
Anything's possible if you're willing to do the work. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to use Unreal, it's possible, but you'd have to do a lot of work to get it there. But Unity seems to be the preferred method out of, you know, the 50, 60 games we're working. I'd say 90% of them are done in Unity.
Okay. All right. And again, you've kind of answered this, but I'll ask anyway. What is the Amico's target audience?
I mean, it really is everyone. I mean, you know, we did this, like I said, we did this Crayola thing, and you know, we had hardcore gamers in their early 30s with no kids, you know, and not married, loving it, going crazy for it. But our initial go-to-market strategy is families. Okay. You know, and retro gamers and grandparents and baby boomers and Gen Xers, or any family with kids that are 7 and under. That's our sweet spot.
Gotcha. Okay. And question number 21 here. Is the goal of the Amico to bring back the games of yesteryear to today's gamers, or are there plans to offer more modern games of today, such as Minecraft, in addition to retro-style games?
I mean, Minecraft's a bad example because we wouldn't put that on. Again, everybody else can do that. That's not what we're about. But it really is more of modern games, you know. Retro Reimagine only makes up 20% of our entire library.
Oh, okay.
So we have 20% are educational, 20% are Retro Reimagined. We have 5 categories. 20% are original IPs, 20% are sports and recreation, and 20% are casual board, card, dice, you know, word puzzle games like that. Those are our 5 categories. So Retro Reimagine makes up. Now, what I always say is we use retro sensibilities across all of our games. Simple, easy, pick up to play, don't need an instruction manual, right? So that kind of retro sensibility crosses over everything. But in regards to Retro Reimagine, no, we're a console that makes new and unique experiences. That's our, you know, main focus.
Okay. All right. Question number 22 here. With the initial release date being in October, how close are you guys to meeting that release goal?
I wish I had the answer. If I did, I'd be shouting it from the mountaintops. Look, you know, it's very challenging for any, you know, company, like I talked about earlier. It's very, very challenging. We don't know the answer. We don't know how many, you know, we've been trying to secure parts since last November. We've been putting down millions of dollars to secure parts. But if the things don't exist, then they don't exist, you know? So So we're trying our hardest. We don't know how many we're going to get out and when. We just don't know.
Okay, that's fair given the market of things today.
I mean, I hope worst case scenario, I hope we soft launch it in October. You know, even if it's you know, whatever, 500 units or something, we got to get them into the hands of people. You know, that's worst case. Well, I guess worst case scenario is we can't do any. But again, to me, you know, I hope at least we get, you know, we have 2,600 founders editions. Like, I hope we can at least get out hundreds of units in the hands of the people, you know, and that's still crappy to me, but you know, and we're not even thinking that. Well, I mean, we have backup plans for that, but we're still trying to produce tens of thousands of units by October. That's our goal right now. But it's, I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. It's slipping away from us, you know. Right. Just because they just don't exist, and the ones that do exist make us it's a massive loss for us. So we can't produce 30,000 machines, take a $200 loss on the hardware, because then we're out of business by Christmas. And again, what good does that do anyone? You know, we have to manage the company, and we're in it for the long run. We're in it. We want this thing to be around for the next 7 to 10 years. We want to support this, right? So look, if we have to walk before we run, crawl before we walk, we're okay to do that. We'd rather do that, do it slow, soft launch it, get it eventually into retail stores, boom, 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 when the component and industry is not in crisis and it goes back to normal. If that's what we have to do to survive and be successful for everyone, then that's what we're going to do, you know? We have to do what's right for the company, for the consumers, for the developers, and for our investors. That's what we have to do right first, not some hater on the internet.
I totally get that. All right, so next question here. So we have seen videos of people playing the console with controllers and smartphones, which is awesome and great.
Yep.
But is there a chance we could see some of the interface or maybe even physical cards that we've been hearing about?
You know, that's something that we want to do with a special thing. See, when you're new like us and unique like us, we have certain opportunities to make some noise with famous influencers, but we have to give them exclusive things, right? They want an exclusive thing, whether it's a TV show or a YouTube channel or a big website, whatever it is. So we have to hold things back. And I understand it. I get it. Everybody wants to see everything now. And if I don't show everything now, the first thing they're like, oh, he's hiding something. No. You know, like I mentioned to you earlier, our physical media is already in production. It's going to be in our warehouse, shrink wrap, done. I haven't shown anyone that because we need to do it when the time is right. The other thing I don't want to do, again, let's think of this from a business perspective and the company's perspective. The other thing I don't want to do, let's say we're able to manufacture 20,000 units this year. Well, we already have more than 20,000 pre-orders. So that means there will be 0 on the shelves. Why would we pull big marketing levers if we don't have anything to sell?
Right.
That would be really stupid from a company's perspective and a company standpoint, right? So it's hard for us to pull the trigger not even knowing how many units we're going to have in the market and when. This COVID thing has thrown a spanner in our entire rollout and platform, and it has for over a year, and will continue to do so, right? These are unprecedented times, and I would only hope and pray that people can at least look upon what's gone on over the last year and a half and maybe have a little sympathy to say, gosh, imagine trying to put out a brand new product throughout all of this, you know? And so there's a lot of people out there who are so quick to attack us and be negative towards us. But it's like, folks, put yourselves in our shoes, for crying out loud. And just because we don't show something, it's not because we're trying to hide something. It's because from a business perspective, if we show you, I could show you the UI right now. I could spark it up and show everybody. Now we lose a big opportunity that we have with somebody big because they want to be the first to do it. And so instead of getting in front of 10 million people, okay, I showed it early. Now the haters who aren't going to buy the system anyway, you know, they're going to come up with some other new thing they're going to be complaining about anyway. So it doesn't even matter. 500 people see the UI now, or a couple thousand, and now I lose that opportunity to get in front of the tens of millions of people who are our target audience. I'd be insane to do that. So hopefully that explains it a little better. People can maybe start to think about putting themselves in our shoes. And by the way, can I just say this too? When I say hater, I'm not saying that people who are critical of Amiico or who don't like Amiico, I'm not saying they're haters. I'm not. This system isn't for anyone. Again, I'm not over here drinking my own Kool-Aid. Oh, this system's for everyone. Everyone's going to love it. Look, there's people who hate Nintendo. There's people who hate Sony. There's people who hate Xbox. There's people who hate Amiico. I know this. So when I say haters, I'm kind of referring to a small, very small group of people who go out of their way to spread lies and misinformation in hopes that they destroy us. That's a hater. Somebody who looks at Amiico and goes, those games look like crap. They look like Flash games. I don't like the controller, or they look like mobile games, and it's $250, not for me. Totally fine. Totally okay. Absolutely. You're not a hater. The system's just not for you, right? So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, because people sometimes, take that the wrong way, and I don't mean no disrespect for anyone who doesn't like it. It's fine if you don't like it. And by the way, the people who normally don't like it are not our target audience anyway. So what, it's like I'm telling you you're not our target audience, and so don't so it's like here I've made this. It's like talking to somebody who loves speed metal. I love speed metal, and I come along going, hey, I wrote this awesome country song for you. You're gonna love it. Like, no, I hate country music. I hate what you're doing. I don't like it. Oh, you're a hater. No, you just don't like. I've created something that's not for you. Why the hell would I assume that you're gonna love it and expect you to like it? I don't. So anyway.
All right. So this kind of says on what you said, but question number 24. We've seen games with 3D elements as well as 2D Flash games, but will the system support pixel-style games like the original Intellivision?
I mean, eventually it will. And the reason I don't want to do that initially is because with a retro legacy name like Intellivision, and there's a lot of flashbacks. Here's a Neo Geo one. Here's a Genesis Mini. Here's a TurboGrafx one. I mean, who hasn't at this point put one? I got a Commodore 64 one. Where the hell is that thing? This thing. Here, Mini Commodore 64. There you go, right? I mean, and so what I don't want to do is, because we have a retro legacy and name, I don't want people to assume that, oh, we're just some 8-bit, 16-bit box that we're bringing back. So eventually, I want to put pixel graphic games on the system. I just need to establish what we are first. And then by next year, we can start to do more stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. Yeah,
it's a perception. It's a perception thing. I don't want people to get confused as to what we are out of the gate.
Okay, so question number 25 here. Why incorporate an exclusivity policy when it comes to making games for the platform? Wouldn't that mean that all devs would have to have a dev kit to make games for the Amiico?
Yes, all they have to have the dev kit for the Amiico. Yes, because we're a closed system, we want to work hand in hand with those folks, right? We want to make something cool and unique and fun. Look, if we were just a system with a whole bunch of ports on it, why would people? Then I would make the argument: why would anyone want us when Switch already exists, when Steam already exists, when PlayStation and Xbox already exist? I'd be an idiot if that was my thing, because then I'd be like, oh, well, we can compete with Switch. We'll just take all those games and put them on Amiico. Hell no. You think I can go up against Nintendo? Are you insane? Right? So we have to carve out our own little thing here. We have to follow our own unique path in order to even, and I always say, look, we're not trying to compete with those people. We just want to do our own little thing. If I started porting every single game that they can get on more powerful machines, what good does that do us?
Right.
Zero, right?
Right, that definitely makes sense. Okay, next question here is, do you have plans in place to allow devs to port the game to Amiico using existing dev tools, or will they need to purchase dev kit to do it?
Well, here's the great news. I'm glad you brought that up. So here's something else that's extremely unique about Amiico and Intellivision, and how again, we come from a game development standpoint. We were those all the indie devs that are now and scraping to get by, that's all of us at some point, right? So you know how much we charge for our dev kits? $0. We give them to you.
What?
We don't. Yes, we don't charge for our. This is Ryan. I'm glad you asked that question, because we almost didn't talk about it. This is why we are so different. We give you the dev kits. We pay you to make your game.
That is huge. Wow. That is incentive right there.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, so well, I guess that kind of answers the next question, which is, a developer wanted to get a dev kit. How would one go about getting one, and what is the price point? So if they're free, it's just a matter of asking, hey, I want to develop for Amiico, can I get one?
Well, no, it's I mean, we have to form a partnership. We don't just pass them out willy-nilly.
Gotcha.
Email developers@intellivision.com.
Okay.
Let's meet, right? We have a whole team of folks. Send us games that you've done. And again, we have to sign an NDA, which, a mutual NDA that protects both sides, because we don't want you to show us a game and then we're already working on something similar and then it becomes a legal thing. No. So we sign an NDA. Don't send us anything proprietary yet. Just reach out to us, sign an NDA, talk to us about your thought and idea or whatever. Send us, then sometimes you send us a video on this and that, and then we can start, wow, this is a really cool concept. Let's figure out a way to work together. Then we start talking about budgets and timing and numbers and royalties and percentages and this and that. And then we start working it. Then after all that's done, then we send you a dev kit.
Gotcha. All right.
But we have a deal. Basically what I'm saying is we have a deal in place first.
Right.
Before we send out a dev kit.
Makes sense. Okay. So.
Oh, by the way, but let me just state this one important thing to piggyback on that. If people want to create games or create a demo and just want to show it to us and that they'll know works on our system, our specs are on our website, right? You go to Intellivision.com and we have a tech specs page. You can see it. 8-core processor, 1.8 gigahertz, blah, 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 blah. Qualcomm Snapdragon chip. You could make the game in Unity for Android or iPhone or whatever, with similar specs. You could do that now. You don't need our dev kit. You'll need our dev kit to finish the game and to put it on there. But if you wanted to start, doing stuff, you can already do that. You don't need our dev kit to create a game in the Android world on Unity. You can do that now.
Oh, that's really good to know. Alrighty. 2 more questions here. Okay, so what kind of fees would a dev be looking at when it comes to getting their game on the platform?
Fees meaning what? Fees? You mean what they would get?
what? So in other words, what? So what?
What do we take?
Yeah, yeah. I think you kind of already.
Yeah,
touched.
it really varies and depends. It depends on, is there a license attached to that game? Are we doing a Disney license together, or like we would pay for it? How much did that Disney license cost? How much percentage does Disney want to take? Or is this a brand new game that the developer came up with on their own, and they wanted to put it on our platform, and they're going to handle everything? And they don't want our help with anything except, hey, can we have a dev kit? We want to put this on. Well, then obviously they're going to get, a way higher royalty than if. And again, it's whatever we need it to be. It's whatever makes sense for both parties. We either do a deal or we don't. We're very different. Oh, well, I can put a game on the Switch and Nintendo takes 30%. Great. And how much did Nintendo pay you to make that game? Well, nothing. We had to do it all on our own. Okay, and how much marketing is Nintendo doing for you? Are they going to do a TV commercial for you? Are they going to reach out to major influencers and put the game in their hand? Well, no. Okay, well then don't say that, if Intellivision takes 50% as opposed to, or whatever it is, 40%, 30%, whatever. Don't say it's not the same thing. It's apples to oranges. You can't compare the two. We're doing something completely different, The
last question here, and I think this kind of ties into the previous question. I think we've gone over it for this entire duration here, but there have been reports that you guys will be taking 50% of third-party game sales for those that are sold in Amico. With the debate being that even 30% is too high. Is there justification for taking nearly double the industry standard, or are these reports inaccurate?
Yeah, it's an unfair question for all the reasons we just. I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want the person that asked that to feel like they were being unfair to me. That's not what I meant. I meant it's unfair to compare the two. You can't say Intellivision's taking nearly twice as much as everybody else. That's not true, given the circumstances that I just laid out, right? That I just mentioned. It's not apples to apples. It's completely different. And in fact, it's a whole hell of a lot better. A whole hell of a lot better to put your game on Intellivision Amico than any of those other platforms. If you are, we have one developer, we have one game that we're working on, and it's one person. But we're supplying the production, we're supplying the budget, we're supplying the marketing, we're supplying all the licensing, we're supplying the audio, we are supplying the music, we are supplying everything. But it's a really brilliant guy that is an absolute programming genius who had this incredible concept, which, by the way, I saw on YouTube as a demo. I reached out to the guy and I said, I want that on our system. And it's one person making a game for us, and he couldn't be happier because no one out there is doing what we're doing for him, And it certainly isn't Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Steam, Apple. It's not, none of those folks are reaching out. It's not EA, it's not Activision, it's not Ubisoft, right? And again, not to put those companies down, it's just not what their focus is. Our focus is finding and curating indie, amazing, unique indie projects. That's our whole bread and butter, right? So anyway, yeah. I can't believe it. We got through them in under 2 hours. This about an hour and 40 minutes. This is amazing. This is a first for me. But there were great questions.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely sounds like this is the indie platform. I mean, this feels like, your guys' console, your guys' ideas, they feel like what we as a team do for indies, you guys are doing on a platform level, and that's just amazing to me.
Cool. No, I appreciate that. Spread the word, please. Because, again, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad information out there, and and it sucks, right? Because that misinformation, obviously it doesn't benefit us, but you know who it hurts too? You know who it hurts? It hurts the indie folks,
Right.
you know, because now they have a negative reaction. So something that could have been great for them, they don't even look into now because they believe this false narrative out there, right? And so that sucks for them too. So for those people spreading all that stupidity, you know, consider that for a second, right? You're not only hurting us, you're hurting people that could, something like Amico could really be, look, we have, not only do we have 55 employees, like I said, we're paying over 50 developers right now, right? We have 50 developers working on 60 games. Think of the hundreds of people and their families who were, you know, helping to support every week, month, whatever, right?
Right. Or those that want to finish the project but don't have the funds to do it. I mean, you guys could potentially give them those funds to be able to do it.
I would love to do stuff like that where like I've met a lot of indie folks at conferences and stuff, and they have amazing game, like they have an amazing concept, right? But it's like a proof of concept, and they're just looking for funding. And what do? They go to Kickstarter, Indiegogo. Then there's the pressure of having to, you know, send 6,000 things to the post office, and you know, and then it's and the pressure and everything. Wouldn't it be great if there was a company out there where all they did was fund indie projects and help you with market and provide marketing, provide audio, provide optimization, provide the dev kit, provide public relations, provide audio, provide art direction, whatever code, whatever you need, we'll give you. We'll give you. Imagine if there was a company out there like that. Well, folks, it exists, and it's called Intellivision. So come and join the party. Come and join the Intellivision family. We'd love to have you.
That is awesome. That is really, really cool. All right. Teal, Summer Nights, Dylan, do you guys have anything to add?
No, I think that's it for me.
What are your thoughts about everything you're hearing, Dylan and Teal Summer Nights? What are your thoughts about what I've said?
I think it's all right. Sounds pretty good.
Cool.
I'm definitely excited for this. Yeah, it definitely sounds like.
Sounds amazing. Is that Dylan?
Yeah.
Dylan says it sounds amazing. Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, it does. I'm really excited to see what Amico has to offer. I mean,
spread the word, my friend. Spread the word, please.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, I want to say I want to thank you for coming on, for doing this. It's been very informative, and it's been great. So yeah, this has been Obscure Game. Speak today. This has been Obscure Games and Consoles. Dylan and Teal Summer Nights and Tommy Tallarico. On behalf of Any Gamer team, again, I want to say a very big thank you for doing this, and it was a lot of fun.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, take care.
Cool. Bye.
Good night.